What's good, sports fans? My name is Damian Adams from The Real Deal with Damian Adams. If you are a fan of sports podcasts, after this video, go to your podcast platform, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and search The Real Deal with Damian Adams. It's a dope sports podcast. It's real sports talk for the real sports fans. So if you enjoy these videos, you will enjoy the podcast. If you're not a big podcast guy, you just like shorter videos, subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, and you will enjoy the videos. Appreciate you so much. Now, on today's video, I want to do my real take of the week. We had a big announcement in the boxing world that we're going to have a legends match between Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson, right? And I get the excitement, right? The nostalgia behind it, because if you ask a lot of boxing fans who are my age or older, I'm 30, so if you ask a lot of boxing fans my age or older who's their favorite boxer of all time, you're going to get a lot of people saying Mike Tyson. You're going to get a lot of people like myself saying Roy Jones Jr., right? Roy Jones is the reason I fell in love with boxing. So a fight like this, definitely just off the announcement alone, gets you excited. I get it. But I have to be a Debbie Downer a little bit. You're talking about two guys in their 50s. I understand that Mike Tyson looks awesome, right? He looks in better shape now than he was when he finished his career. Roy Jones Jr. is somebody who always stays in boxing shape because he loves the sport so much. And even though he did say he was going to retire a couple years ago, I understand this opportunity has a lot of money behind it. He's going to get someone his age, so I can see why he feels a little safer doing it. But I'm just scared that somebody's going to get hurt, because it's not like Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf in the Big Three balling out, right? You can play basketball at 50, and if you're in great shape and have skills, ball out. Basketball players like myself, we see people who are older at 24 Hour Fitness or the Rec, back when we could play ball inside, balling out all the time. But that's basketball. This is boxing. And you don't play boxing. I just hope that everybody stays safe, and hopefully they use this platform to get active boxers more recognition. Like last year when DAZN had the whole YouTube stars going against each other, I was like, whatever, it's YouTube dudes. But they used the undercard to get attention to other boxers who have superstar potential, like Billy Joe Saunders and Devin Haney were on the undercard of that event, which was major for that. But the big thing I want to talk about in this video is the hype around Mike Tyson. People are so excited to see Mike Tyson fight, and it's because the legend of Mike Tyson is so major, so big, right? And I think that Mike Tyson has probably become the most overrated athlete of all time. Yeah, I'm gonna say it one more time. You might not have heard me correctly. You might be thinking, oh my God, is my video tripping? No, I'm gonna say it one more time for the people in the back. Mike Tyson has become the most overrated boxer and athlete of all time. Now let me tell you why. Mike Tyson had this great run, short run, but a great run of dominance from 85 to 89, right? He lost to Buster Douglas at the beginning of 90. So from 85 to 89, he was just knocking fools out left and right? But during that time, when he was the baddest man on the planet, what's the biggest name on his resume as far as a win? I'll give you a second to think about it. What's the biggest name on Mike Tyson's resume with him having a victory over them? It's Larry Holmes. Now, Larry Holmes, one of the all-time greats, right? But when he fought Mike Tyson, Larry Holmes was 37 years old. Now, this is not 37 in 2020, right? Because you might think 37 isn't that old. This is 37 in 1988. It's a difference. You're a lot older at 37 back then than you are now with all the technology, training, people cooking for you and whatnot. You're a professional athlete. It's a lot different than it was back then. So you're talking about Larry Holmes, who had been boxing in the heavyweight division for 15 years, 37 years old, going against that young Mike Tyson, right? So Mike Tyson has that run, goes and fights Buster Douglas and loses, right? He had some quality wins after that against Razor Ruddock. Those were great fights. But when it came down to the big fights, he didn't show up, right? There's people who have Mike Tyson, boxing fans, who have him ranked over Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. when I saw, you saw, we all saw Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis beat up Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was so frustrated in the second fight, he bit a piece of Evander Holyfield's ear off. A piece of the man's ear off. And people like to say, oh, he was past his prime. Evander Holyfield is 5 years older than Mike Tyson. 5 years older than Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was a 30-1 favorite going into the first fight because he looked tremendous, right? He had to sit in prison, came back, had 4 fights, looked tremendous, got a piece of the heavyweight crown during those 4 fights. Fought Evander Holyfield, who at this time was 34, had been through numerous wars against, a trilogy with Riddick Bowe, the fight with George Foreman, all those cruiserweight bouts he had, all these wars, and people thought he was washed. Put him in the washing machine, dry him, he's washed. Mike Tyson came in ready to go, and Evander Holyfield beat him straight up. Second fight, Mike Tyson got frustrated, beat a piece of this man's ear off. Bit him twice, right? Gets suspended, comes back, looks good again, and gets a chance to fight against Lennox Lewis. People say Mike Tyson was way past his prime. Lennox Lewis is older than Mike Tyson. Whooped on him. Just dominated Mike Tyson. And people will say Mike Tyson all time should be ranked over Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. That's where I'm coming from when I talk about him being overrated. Where are the big wins? When it came down to fighting those guys of his era that were truly the best, he came up short. And the legend of his highlight reel has overwhelmed what really happened. So people understand the excitement behind it, but I don't think we're going to see a great fight between Roy Jones Jr. and Mike Tyson. And this is coming from a Roy Jones Jr. fan. So hopefully the undercard is good. Hopefully we won't have too many joke fights like Nate Robinson versus Jake Paul. Hopefully we get some other real fights, man. But do you think I'm crazy for thinking Mike Tyson is the most overrated athlete of all time? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you agree with me, don't be afraid to say that Damien was right. Please let me know in the comment section below. Please do not forget to subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams podcast and the YouTube channel, all right? And until next time, go real or go home.